मित्रों नमस्कार. A very good morning to all of you. Today in this Shiksharth, I would be discussing a very important topic, a very perennial one, which actually puts the base of everything in a good democracy, and that is education. Friends, education is the most important aspect of our life. As we all say and keep on saying again and again, that knowledge is the currency of 21st century. But in order to gain knowledge, you should have the basic right to basic education. Today, my topic is Right to Education 2009. Okay, this topic is a very interesting one and a very good one in the way in which we would, through this topic, come to know about the changes that are made under the Constitution of India with regard to the Right to Education 2009, and what are the strategies in that, what are the salient features, what are the limitations, and what overall it is. My name is Dr. Vishal Pandya, and we shall start the session. So friends, we would first of all get into the very base of what is the rule of RTE. The very basic question that we should ask to ourselves is, what is this rule of RTE? Article 21A of the Constitution of India provides for a free and compulsory education of all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years as a fundamental right. The important word here is fundamental right. So that is the basic right of every child that is born in India, and that is the right to education, and it is under the Constitution of India as Article 21A. Article 21A and the Right to Education Act came into effect on the 1st of April 2010. The term free means that no child admitted in RTE supported school, that is right to education supported school, is liable to pay any fee for elementary education. This is outstanding. For elementary education, no child has to pay any fee provided you are in the school that is RTE supported. So this is a wonderful thing, first of all. Moving forward, compulsory means that the government is obliged to ensure admission, attendance, and completion of a child's elementary education in the said age group. That means the government has to make sure that the child finishes the elementary education between the age group mentioned, that is between 6 and 14. So this is the basic rule of RTE. The second question that comes to our mind directly is, if this is RTE, then what actually do you mean by right to education? So we shall focus on certain points to clarify that thing. Right to education means that education is the fundamental right of every individual, and it is the government's responsibility to ensure that individuals are able to exercise their right. Most of the times, friends, the rules are made, but they have to be implemented as well. Okay, so that is the duty of the government, to implement the rule that is made under the Constitution of India. Moving forward, Article 21A of the Constitution of India lays down the rules and regulations to be followed to ensure the right to education. Under that article, the government has to make sure that the rules that are prescribed under those articles has to be implemented, followed properly for optimum output. Next point is then why RTE is important. What is the importance of RTE? The right to education serves as a building block to ensure that every child has his or her right to get, this is very important, to get quality elementary education. Not only education, but education with extreme quality. And for that also there are certain rules made, which we would be focusing upon later on in our slides. But what is the base here? That every child has his or her right to get quality elementary education. Moving forward to the constitutional background of RTE. Originally, Part 4 of the Indian Constitution, Article 45 and Article 39F of the DSP, that is the Directive Principles of the State Policy, had a provision for state funded as well as equitable and accessible education. Okay, education had to be state funded and had to be for all, that it should be accessible for all. The first official document on the right to education was Ramamurthy Committee report in the year 1990. That was the very first report made on the very base of education right or right to education. In the year 1993, the Supreme Court's landmark judgment in the Unnikrishnan JP versus State of Andhra Pradesh and others held education as fundamental right flowing from Article 21. Okay, so that is the very basic right of every citizen that is born in India. You cannot possibly deny the right to education to the person who is born in India. So this is a very, very good initiative. Now, moving forward to the objectives of the RTE. Okay, the main objective of the RTE Act is to ensure that each child in India receives quality elementary education irrespective of their economic or caste background. Now here these 2 points are very important. Everybody is allowed good quality free education at the elementary level, and there is no bar for either caste or class. That is, the economic background or the casteist background should not be checked before allowing the child right to education. A wonderful thing. This includes children who are forced to drop out of school. It also ensures that schools comply with certain regulations regarding the infrastructure and manpower to maintain the quality of education. Now friends, as we all know, there is a certain sad state of education system at certain levels because of two basic problems. The first problem is lack of proper infrastructure, and the second problem is lack of good quality manpower, on which now the government is working to make it better or to make it progressive in a way so that the risks or the problems with regard to educating a child are eliminated. The first thing that you require is quality teachers, and the second thing, and almost equally important thing that you require, is good quality basic infrastructure. Moving forward, the Act puts the responsibility of ensuring its implementation on the government. Now, it is up to the government concerned to implement it in a proper way. Moving forward to the very basic question. Is education right or is education privilege for people? Okay. So the answer to it is not for the privileged people, or it is not a privilege. It is the fundamental right of every individual of our country. Education is a right of every individual and not a privilege. This means that a right to education is granted by law to each person. Individuals cannot be discriminated in education based on their, point number one, caste, Point number 2, religion. 3, sex or economic background. This is a wonderful thing that is into RTE 2009. In India, this right is granted by the Right to Education Act under Article 21A of the Indian Constitution. So this makes this thing pretty much clear, that in which article does RTE fall in the Indian Constitution and what are the basic criteria of RTE. Moving forward to the constitutional background of RTE. Tapas Majumdar Committee in the year 1999 was set up, which encompassed insertion of Article 21A. The 86th Amendment of the Constitution of India in 2002 provided right to education as a fundamental right in Part 3 of the Constitution of India. The same amendment inserted Article 21A, which made right to education a fundamental right for children between the age group of 6 and 14. The 86th Amendment provided for a follow-up legislation for Right to Education Bill 2008 and finally Right to Education Act 2009. So this is how it came into the Constitution of India. This is the roadmap of RTE 2009 towards the Constitution of India. Something more about RTE. Educational challenges have been prevalent at both the center and states for many years in India now. The Right to Education Act 2009 maps out roles and responsibilities for the center, state and all local bodies to rectify gaps in their education system in order to enhance the quality of education in the country. So why this act was passed? The only answer to it is providing quality education to every child in our country, which is an extremely commendable thought which came into the formation of an article under the Constitution of India. Moving forward, what are the basic markers of RTE? If you have to go through the gist of RTE 2009, here are certain markers. The first marker is compulsory and free education for all. It is obligatory for the government to provide free and compulsory elementary education to each and every child in a neighborhood school within 1 kilometer up to the class 8 in India. So you'll find a lot of schools around your home, okay, in the periphery of 1 kilometer or maximum 2 up till the standard 8th in our country. No child, and I repeat, no child is liable to pay fees or any other charges that may prevent him or her from pursuing and completing elementary education. It is for free. So, if you think at the hindsight of it, this is a very wonderful thing because education makes a man, and when you get it for free up till your base is clear, nothing better. So this should be appreciated by everybody in our country. Free education also includes the provisions of textbooks, uniform, stationery items and special educational material for children with disabilities in order to reduce the burden of school expenses. Okay, so this is also included in free education, right from books to uniform to stationery items. Everything should be provided to the children who have certain disabilities, and that would be even more beneficial for the students in general. Moving forward, so the second marker is the benchmark mandate. The Right to Education Act lays down norms and standards relating to, the first point is pupil teacher ratio, that is 30:1 or 35:1 in separate ways. classrooms, separate toilets for girls and boys, drinking water facility, number of school working days, working hours of teachers, etc. Each and every elementary school, that is either primary or middle school, in India has to comply with these set of norms to maintain a minimum standard set by the Right to Education Act. Moving to the third marker, that is special provision for separate cases. In this, the Right to Education Act mandates that an out of school child should be admitted to an age appropriate class and provided with special training to enable the child to come up to age appropriate learning level. This is also an excellent thing. Okay, if a child is inserted into an age appropriate class and specially trained, that serves a very good purpose for the overall mindset of the child concerned. Moving to the fourth marker, that is quantity and quality of teachers. The Right to Education Act provides for rational deployment of teachers by ensuring that the specified pupil-teacher ratio is maintained in every school with no urban-rural imbalance whatsoever. And the second point here is, it also mandates appointing appropriately trained teachers, that is, teachers with requisite entry and academic qualifications. Moving to the fifth marker, that is zero tolerance against discrimination and harassment. The Right to Education Act 2009 prohibits all kinds of physical punishment and mental harassment, discrimination based on gender, caste, class, and religion, screening procedures for admission of children, capitation fee, private tuition centers, and functioning of unrecognized schools. So you find a lot of ghost schools also around you. So you should make sure that you get into a good school which provides all the facilities according to the Constitution of India under RT 2009, because you have very good quality teachers there. Okay, teachers who are qualified, the basic infrastructure is also pretty good. So you get the basic elementary education for free, and that too of optimum quality. Moving to the sixth marker, that is ensuring all-round development of children. The Right to Education Act 2009 provides for development of curriculum which would ensure that the all-round development of every child build a child's knowledge, human potential and talent. Three things here are very important. First is the knowledge base of the child, which would grow naturally if that child comes to the class regularly. The second point here is very good. It focuses on the holistic approach, and that is the human potential. And the third is, progressing or making that student feel that that student is very talented and giving impetus to the latent talent in that student. Seventh marker is improving learning outcomes to minimize detention. The Right to Education Act mandates that no child can be held back or expelled from school till class 8th. To improve performances of children in schools, the Right to Education Act introduced the Continuous Comprehensive Evaluation, that is CCE system, in the year 2009 to ensure grade appropriate learning outcomes in schools. Another reason why this system was initiated was to evaluate every aspect of the child during their time in school so that gaps could be identified and worked on well in time. Moving to the eighth point, that is monitoring compliance of RTE norms. The first thing here is school management committees, that are the SMCs, play a crucial role in strengthening participatory democracy and governance in elementary education. The second point is that all schools covered under the Right to Education Act 2009 are obliged to constitute a school management committee comprising of a head teacher, local elected representative, parents, community members, etc. So this should be how the school management committee should be formatted. The first thing is the head of the school, the head teacher of the school, one locally elected representative should be there, and then community members including the parents shall be there. The third point here is the committees have been empowered to monitor the functioning of schools and to prepare school development plan. Moving to the ninth marker, that is Right to Education Act is justiciable. Okay, this act is backed by grievance redressal, that is GR mechanism, that allows people to take actions against non-compliance of provisions of the Act Right to Education 2009. Moving to the last marker, that is creating inclusive spaces for all. The Right to Education Act 2009 mandates for all private schools to reserve 25% of the seats for children belonging to socially disadvantaged and economically weaker sections. This reservation should be there. If you remember, there was a very good movie named Hindi Medium, in which this issue was very beautifully handled, wherein a child of a relatively middle class man wanted to get in the best school, was not allowed, but then they fight for the rule that was there are 25% of the seats which are vacant for economically weaker section, and then they fought it out, and she got an admission, and everything was very wonderfully shown. That was a satire on the entire education system. This provision of the Act is aimed of boosting social inclusion to provide for a more just and equal nation. So equality is very important. Moving towards the salient features of RTE. The first thing and the very basic thing is that every child in the age group of 6 and 14 has the right to free and compulsory education in a neighborhood school till the completion of elementary education. This is what we have already discussed as well. Second feature is the Act prohibits donation, capitation fee, screening test, interview of child or parents, physical punishment or mental harassment, private tuition by teachers, and so on. These are the prohibited things under the RTE 2009, which we all should know. The section 12(1)(c) of the RTE Act mandates unaided and non-minority schools to keep aside 25% seats. Government will fund education of these children, and the selection done in that should be random. It should not be decided in a prior way or pre-decided, so to say. The selection process has to be very random for those 25% of the seats. No seats in this quota can be left vacant. These children will be treated on par or at par with all the other children in the school and subsidized by the state at the rate of average per learner costs in the government schools. That is, unless the per learner cost in the private school are lower, learning becomes very difficult. They cannot afford in a way. Moving forward, all private schools will have to apply for recognition. Very important. No schools can run all of a sudden. On one fine day, no school can get recognition, or no school can start without proper recognition, without going to the proper channel of getting recognition from the government body. All private schools will have to apply for recognition, failing which they will be penalized as per the laid down norms. If implemented enthusiastically, this can have a far-reaching impact in improving the education system of the country by inclusiveness. It allows parents to send their kids to schools for better quality education. Moving forward, the only constraint here is the distance between school and home rather than financial capacity, and therefore they have decided that the school should be at every 1 kilometer from a residential area. So it is put down on paper effectively. Implementation is also going on, and it is done very effectively as well. It puts students from the economically weaker sections and disadvantaged groups among the relatively privileged children of rather than sound financial background. So it provides an equal opportunity to everybody there. The mix up goes a long way towards inclusive education, making all children more pro-social and accommodative without affecting their academic outcomes. And therefore, it enables children from poor families access quality education. No child can be held back, expelled, and required to pass the board examination till the completion of elementary education. So, friends, when you say that board exams are supposed to be very important in the life of every child, but then you cannot expel that student before applying for the board exam, and therefore this RT was very important. Okay, that every student has a right to at least 8th standard, that is the basic elementary education level, and you cannot expel that child also, looking into the circumstances that the child goes through at that young age. Okay, so this is very important in RTE, because earlier what used to happen was that sometimes a child was expelled from the school for reasons unknown to us in general. That child was forced to leave the school also sometimes because of the pressure, the social pressure, maybe the economic pressure, especially for the girl child. Life was very difficult. It is in fact very difficult in certain rural areas even today. But at least when the schools are nearby, schools are good infrastructurally, schools are good with good quality teachers, and there are basic facilities in the school itself, then no parent would even think twice before sending that child to school, even if that child is a girl child. Because, as we all know, that a girl child has to be educated properly so that she can educate generations coming. So, in that context, RTE becomes very important. The RTE 2009 thing becomes very important. Moving forward, other features of RTE are: the Act lays down the norms and standards of pupil-teacher ratios, that is PTR. As I said, it was 1:30 or 1:35. It is in fact. Buildings and infrastructure should be proper. School working days, teacher working hours, etc., they should be properly set. Schools that do not fulfill these standards will not be allowed to function. Every school should fulfill all the standards set by RTE. If any school is not following that, then that is not good. Specification of the PTR, that is the pupil teacher ratio, ensures that there is no averaging of the state or district or block level, preventing urban rural imbalance in teachers posting as well. This is also a problem in the posting, because every teacher wants the posting in a good city. That is not how you go into the education system. Okay, you can be posted anywhere at any place, and you have to be there to serve your school. Because as I always maintain in saying that teaching profession is not a profession only, it is also a service to the society at large. So if all of us think of getting into urban centers, who will teach at the rural areas? because even those children need good teachers, quality teachers. And nowadays, with this huge internet connectivity and this digitalization of everything, no place is far away. You get almost every basic facility at every place that you might go. So, as a teacher, it becomes your duty, and I would say your moral duty, that you go to the rural area if need be and serve them with utmost amount of dedication. Moving forward is the Act, that is the RT 2009, prohibits deployment of teachers for non-educational work other than decennial census, elections to local authority, state legislatures, and parliament and disaster relief. No teacher should be given any other non-educational work except the points mentioned here, either for census duty or for election duty or for the legislative duties of parliament or disaster relief duties. You shall not get into anything that is not related to education, because your role as a primary teacher becomes very important here. You are actually building the base, and if the base is weak, then the superstructure would fall flat. So it is your moral duty also, and if you are in this profession of teaching, you should make sure that you give your 100% to the children who are with you. And therefore, the government also has made the rule that no educational person or the person who is teaching in any school shall be given non-educational duties except the election duty or the state duty from time to time. Moving forward is the Act specifies the duties and responsibilities of appropriate governments, local authority in providing free and compulsory education and sharing of financial and other responsibilities between the central and the state governments. Next is the Act provides for development of curriculum in a consonance with the values enshrined in the Constitution. For the first point is the holistic development of a child or the all-round development of a child, building on child's knowledge, potentiality and talent, and making the child free of fear, trauma and anxiety through a system of child-friendly and child-centered learning. Now, these are very important features, my friend. The first and the foremost thing is holistic education. Education is not only about books, okay. It is about the very concept of developing that child all round. You should build on the knowledge base of the child also. There is a lot of potential in every child. That potential has to be put forward, put in front of others. That child should be given confidence, and that child should be free from any fear or any trauma of whatsoever that it may be social or related to his or her personal life. There should be one teacher for every 30 students for class 1 to 4th, that is the first class to the 4th standard, and one teacher for every 35 students for the classes 6th to 9th, 6th to 8th, between 6th and 8th. So see, what happens here is when the teacher-student ratio is relatively shrined or small, that is 1:30 is quite good. You can focus on your student individually, and that would allow the all-round development of the child. Okay, that child might be going through innumerable social pressures or pressure from the family, especially the girl child. So as a teacher, it is your duty to make that child fear-free, anxiety-free of everything. Develop that child holistically, okay, in sports or in any creative things, or In studies as well, every child is different, as we all know, and every child is talented as well. It is about finding that talent. There is a famous saying that you cannot force a fish to climb a tree. A fish cannot climb a tree. A fish can only swim, because that is what that fish knows. So you should know that every child is different. If that particular child is like a fish and you try to teach that child how to climb a tree, it would fall flat. So identify the talent in that child. That is your duty as a teacher. And make sure that it is well pushed, it is well worked upon, and that student can move forward with his or her latent talent. You have to find it out as a teacher. Moving forward, there should be one specialized teacher, each for teaching science and mathematics, social sciences and languages. Separate teachers for this core sciences, that is science and mathematics, one for social sciences and one for languages, either Hindi, English or our mother tongue for that matter in our state, that is Gujarati. A full-time head teacher is recommended for a school with more than 100 students. Any school which has more than 100 students should have one head teacher. Classes 1st to 5th should have 200 working days, and classes 6th to 8th should have 220 working days per academic year with a 45-hour work week. Okay, so every school should work for 45 hours every week in order to ensure that the classes run smoothly. For the classes 1st to 5th, it is 200 working days. For classes 6th to 8th, it is 220 working days. Moving forward towards the salient features of RTE again. All weather classrooms for every teacher in the school, an office, a storeroom and a principal's room. This should be the basic infrastructure. There should be an office, there should be a storeroom, there should be a principal room in every school. The school has to ensure hygienic kitchen for midday meals. Kitchen should be very well maintained. Safe drinking water facility and separate toilets for boys and girls along with proper fencing, a playground and a library with relevant books and teaching aid. So that the environment should be very conducive for good learning. The school has to ensure all-round development of the child and practice inclusion without denying admission to any child on any grounds. Okay, the very idea of education is inclusive. Now, moving forward to the achievements of Right to Education Act. What are the achievements? We went through the markers of it. We went through features of it. Now, what are the achievements of it? The RTE Act has successfully managed to increase enrollment in upper primary level classes. Stricter infrastructure rooms are built with proper norms, resulted in improved school infrastructure, especially in rural areas. If you go to any school in the rural area, they are very well maintained schools, I must say. I have been to many schools as well. More than 3.3 million students secured admission under 25% quota norm under RTE. Moving forward to other achievements of RTE, that is, it made education inclusive and accessible nationwide. It is for all, as we all say. It is not a privilege, it is right. Removal of no detention policy has brought accountability in the elementary education system. The government has also launched an integrated scheme for school education named as Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, which subsumes the 3 school schemes under the school education system. There are 3 schemes. The first is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, that is SSA. Second is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, that is RMSA. And third is Centrally Sponsored Scheme on Teacher Education, that is CSSTE. So these are the three schemes under the school education system, very important. There are certain limitations as well to this act, and they have been amended from time to time as well. The recent change was made in the year 2009 as well. So what are the limitations? 2019, I am sorry, the recent change was in the year 2019 as well. So now moving to the limitations of it. Age group for which right to education is available ranges from 6 to 14 years of age only, which can be made more inclusive, encompassing by expanding it to 18 years starting from 0. The very idea of education, when you say 6 to 14, is very classroom defined or very infrastructure defined or very building defined, I must say. Education starts from day one when the child is born. Okay, although it is very difficult to put that child in a school, of course, but there should be a certain way of engaging even that child in some creative activities up till the age of 18. Before that child or that person is a grown-up adult now and has to choose a field at the age of 17, 18, you have to take a very big step of what you are going to do after your schooling is done. The higher education is also done up to the 12th standard. Now moving towards the higher education of the college, the high school level is done now. That is a very big step. Which stream to choose, and that is why this new educational policy last year was wonderful. Okay, the way in which it promotes education stream free, I must say. Okay, a student from the core science stream can also enroll for literature. A literature student can also enroll for a credit subject in sciences or commerce, and it is very inclusive way of looking into the whole education system. So that was the first limitation of RTE. The second is there is no focus on quality of learning as shown by multiple annual status of educational reports. Thus, RTE appears to be mostly input oriented. I always say, friends, that teaching happens only if learning happens. If we go on teaching without knowing whether learning is happening, that is very problematic. So the RTE 2009 does not really focus on what is the learning output of the student. Of course, the teaching output, the way you teach, the number of hours, the number of students per classroom, all set, all done. The body is ready. But what about the soul? The soul is learning happening in the classroom? How to test that? So that has to be looked into as well. That is looked into as well. More focus is being given over statistics of RTE rather than quality of learning. As I said, how many students enrolled, how many passed out up till the 8th standard is all there. On paper it is a wonderful thing. But the very soul of education is learning, not teaching. If there is no learning, there can be absolutely no teaching. Lack of teachers affect pupil-teacher ratio mandated by RTE, which in turn affects the quality of teaching. There are no teachers, or lack of teachers is also there, although there has been a lot of input in terms of government openings in teaching positions at the school level. But most of them are not really interested in going to the rural areas and teaching those students. So therefore, there is this problem with regard to the quality of education at the rural concerned area as well. Looking right from the Article 21A, what is RTE, why RTE is important, what is the constitutional journey of RTE, what are the markers of RTE. Now we move towards the end of it. The Right to Education Act has laid down a comprehensive standard to be maintained by schools and authorities for creating a conducive environment for learning. The environment has to be conducive. Therefore, it has been 12 years since the implementation of RTE Act, but it can be seen that it still has a long way to go to be called successful in its purpose. It is into its very nascent stage right now, I must say, because on paper it is wonderful. Implementation is also being done by putting in good teachers at schools at every level. The infrastructure is improving leaps and bounds now. There is all very good hygienic proper facilities at every school, at the taluka level, also at the very interior level of our country or interior level of any state as well. So that becomes very important. But as I said, it is at a very nascent stage because it has been only 12 years. Moving to the next point in the PPT is creation of conducive atmosphere and supply of resources would pave the way for a better future for individuals as well as nation as a whole. Okay, the environment has to be conducive. Now we focused on every aspect of RTE. We started from the basic constitution to the constitutional journey to the markers of RTE to the strengths, salient features of RTE to the advantages of RTE, moving to the limitations as well. But what is this RTE all about in a nutshell? It is about making every child educated, and it is the duty of us as teachers to make sure that that happens. And by education, we should not take it in a narrow way. Education is not between the books or in the books only. Education is all round development of the personality of a child. Please remember, the age group between 6 and 14 is very sensitive one, and a very good one as well at that. If the child is guided properly at that age, that child can do wonders in his or her life. So this, my friends, is in a way what RTE is all about. I hope you had a wonderful understanding of it by going through the entire lecture. Namaskar.